Namaste and welcome to today's session. I hope everyone is doing fine, and I'm glad at least some people are watching these videos and some people are also finding them helpful. So it's good to get feedback. If you have any feedback, it's good to reach out, share, put your thoughts in the comment, any questions. And so it's always good to interact with your audience. So let's start today's session with a sitting practice, and then we'll get on to talking about something, whatever emerges in the moment. So let's sit comfortably. I think it's a good practice before we get down to a sitting practice to put our soulmates on silent. Our soulmates are our mobile phones. So let's put them on silent or ensure that our environment doesn't disturb us or distract us. Because the purpose of the sitting practice is essentially to bring your attention into the present moment. And if there is less distraction, there's a greater probability of getting our attention in the present moment. Um, until we become so, our awareness, we cultivate our awareness so much uh, that even there is no such thing as a distraction, because everything at the end of the day is happening in the present moment and we are aware of whatever is happening. But when we are sort of practitioners on the path of self-awareness, then when we do a sitting practice, when we devote our time to sort of keeping our attention in the present moment, then it's a good idea to not have distraction, at least for those 15-20 minutes that we are going to do a sitting practice. And like by now, I don't like to use the word meditation, so I'm just calling it a sitting practice. So sit comfortably wherever you are, however you are, and take a nice long and deep breath in. And as you exhale, relax yourself. Take another nice long deep breath in, fill up your lungs, energize yourself. And as you exhale, relax, surrender, let go. Let's do it one more time. Inhale. And exhale. Bring your attention, bring your awareness to the body and observe the energy field of the body. Observe the sensations in the body. You can scan the body Slowly and gradually, you can start from the top of your head. Notice the sensations around the head, forehead, eyes, face, the whole of the head. Throat, chest, both your arms and your hands, abdomen, your back and spine, pelvic region, your thighs and knees, the shin and the feet. Just watch this body as just a body. Do not see this body as yourself. Do not see this body as your body. It is just a body that is feeling, sensing, breathing, conscious, alive. Just watch the body. Whether comfortable or unpleasant or uncomfortable, just watch with eyes of neutrality. If there's heaviness in the head, then just watch the heaviness in the head. Don't attach any meaning, judgment, resistance towards it. there's any tightness in the throat, then just watch the tightness in the throat without attaching any judgment, meaning, interpretation to it. If there is any hollow feeling in the abdomen, and just watch the hollow feeling without adding any judgment, interpretation, story to it. Whatever sensation at any part of the body, whether the sensation is because of the body or because of some emotional feeling, just watch the sensation as is in the eyes of a neutral witness. The sensation in itself has no significance. There are so many sensations that come and go in the body. It is the mind that interprets and creates significance to sensation. It is the mind that labels sensation as fear, anger, hurt, pain. Sensations themselves do not have any label. The mind gives the label. The mind also interprets the sensation as I am angry, I am fearful, I am experiencing pain. It also forms judgments because I'm fearful, I'm worthless, I'm good for nothing. So when we are watching right now, just focus on the sensation, only on the sensation, without any labels, without any judgments, without any interpretation. The sensations are just sensations. Simply watch whatever the body is doing, whatever the body is feeling, whatever the body is sensing. Just watch. And remember that this body is not you, and neither is it your body. It is just a body, a living, conscious entity. Which is observed, which is witnessed, without any goal, without any agenda. Become comfortable with watching without any goal, without any agenda. Develop a taste for unconditional witnessing. Whatever is happening in the moment is just happening in the moment. It is neither good, it's neither bad, it's neither right, it's neither wrong. It simply is. Just accept the isness of what's happening in the moment. I'm going to be silent for the next few minutes. Just use this silence to observe what's happening. If unconscious thoughts come, that's fine. Whenever the attention comes back into awareness, then just simply witness. Even after we come out of the sitting practice, remember, we can always witness consciousness by simply bringing our awareness to the body and seeing what's happening in the body. Taking note of the life energy in the body. The body is the gateway into the feeling of existence, to the feeling of presence, to the feeling of being conscious. Just witness the body and the sensations and the life energy of the body as often as we can. Take a deep breath in. Let go. Another deep breath in and let go. Slowly and gently, as and when you feel like it, slowly rub your palms and cup your eyes. So welcome back. I hope you all had a good sitting practice. In any case, like I keep saying, there's no good sitting practice. Whatever is the sensation in the body at that point of time, it is so. So all one needs to do is just watch with the eyes of neutrality. And when I say with the eyes of neutrality, means just observing the sensation without adding any story to it. And I think especially when it comes to emotions, um, this is one very favorite self-help topic, how to deal with difficult emotions. And then the second most favorite self-help topic is how to express emotions or feelings effectively, because every human being is an emotional being. Mm. Uh, like uh, if generally, like sometimes people read people's faces or palms or astrological charts or tarot cards or whatever. But if you tell any person, whether you have a knowledge of any of this or not, and that you're an emotional person, almost 99% of the people will have agree with that. Yeah, yeah, I am an emotional person. That's because every human being has certain feelings, has certain emotions at different points of time. And every human being has their own mechanism of dealing with emotions. Broadly, if I share how human beings deal with emotions, there are four primary directions in which they deal with emotions. Um, the first way of dealing with emotions, especially when the emotions are very painful, maybe there is anger, hurt, pain, and so we feel that somebody is the cause of the anger, hurt, and pain, and the energy is outward. Explosion. So somebody receives our reaction. That's generally what people say as reaction. So somebody receives the energy, whoever we feel is the cause of the hurt, pain, anger. Uh, that may be in the form of, you may shout at somebody, you may scream at somebody, you may talk rudely to somebody, you may, in some extreme cases, there may be even physical violence. Um, and then there is also something called passive aggression. You may show your aggression in a passive way. You may become cynical, or you may do something not directly, overtly, but show your aggression by judging the person, by talking about that person behind their back or something. So that's one way. The second way is you implode, which means there are some people who explode, who throw out the emotion, and some people who implode, um, which means they swallow, they suppress the emotion. They may not show the emotion, and they may just suppress it. Whatever that may be, anger or fear, or just sort of suppress it. They may have different ways to do that. Except maybe a time will come when you can no longer suppress that emotion, and there will be finally an explosion. So either explode, or either implode. Either the energy is thrown out, or the energy is thrown in. So those are the two directions. And then there are two more directions of how people tend to cope with difficult emotions. And these are the four dysfunctional ways of how people cope with emotions. There are functional ways also, but these are what I'm talking about is the dysfunctional way. By dysfunctional means these are neither helpful to us, neither is it helpful to in our relationship. The other way, which I think a lot of people do, is try to escape the emotion. So the energy is going downward, which is why I say downward, because if you go by the chakra system, the pleasure centers are at the lower chakras. So then you escape the emotion. You may end up binge watching. You are feeling lonely, you're feeling sad, you're feeling isolated. Then I was talking to somebody who was feeling like that, And he says for 2 days he's been watching Game of Thrones just to distract himself. So, so that's one. So binge watching, binge eating, shopping, um, different sex, pornography, um, something which sort of gives you some emotional, which gives you some immediate gratification of some kind, um, but it's sort of a distraction from the difficult feeling or emotions that we are experiencing. The fourth way is the energies goes upward, which essentially what it means is that the we end up overthinking, analyzing, rationalizing, evaluating. So the energy goes into the head. So we end up creating kind of stories. Oh, I shouldn't be feeling like this. Uh, this is unreasonable, or no, that person didn't mean this, or um, let me generate some positive thoughts. And so we are trying to work through the emotion through our thoughts, analyzing, reasoning, whatever it is. And that also is not uh, ultimately sustainable in the long run in terms of processing the emotion, because eventually the fact is we cannot escape difficult emotions. If we are living, if we are alive, these emotions are going to get triggered. Something is going to happen, and those triggers may happen. You may feel anger, you may feel anxiety, you may feel fear, you may feel different kind of loneliness, isolation, helplessness, pain, betrayal, whatever. Some emotions are going to come up. So then, and unfortunately, nothing in our culture, often, especially in our school curriculum, at least not in my school, to process, how to engage with difficult emotions. And I'm particularly talking about difficult emotions uh, because there's really no problem in dealing with positive emotions, right? Nobody has ever had a problem. Oh, I'm feeling too happy, I need to deal with it. Oh, I'm feeling too inspired, I need to deal with it. I'm feeling too joyful. No, it's only the difficult emotions that we have difficulty dealing with. So, mm, so what is it that, and I honestly speaking, I didn't intend. This is the funny part of, uh, doing these sessions spontaneously. When I uh, came into the session, I had thought maybe I'll talk about something else that was there, and now when I'm sitting here, I'm talking about emotions, and I didn't even plan to talk about emotions. So, and I think the reason it happened is because today's sitting practice was focused on watching the sensations of the body. So I think that is what has triggered this me spontaneously talking about emotions and dealing with emotions. So if you really look at uh, what is an emotion, and what are the constituents of an emotion? The constituents of an emotion is one, something happens, like something triggers the emotion. It could be sometimes nothing also, like you see something and then something gets triggered, a past memory gets triggered, and then you start feeling anxiety or you start feeling something, so there's a trigger to emotion often. And then the trigger creates a feeling or a sensation. Now, I'm using these words feeling and sensation synonymously. They are, so whether you call it a feeling, whether you call it a sensation. So what I mean is that something in a body gets, I may feel palpitation, I may feel my throat may feel choked, I'll feel heaviness in the head, or I may feel hollowness in the stomach, I'll feel butterflies in the stomach. These are different kinds of, or I may feel a sense of constriction in the chest, or different kinds of emotion, or I may feel pain in the legs, or I may feel, my back is hurting, whatever. And I'm talking not, this is not like physical pain. This is more to do with something emotional that has triggered this pain. And in any which way, they say, whatever our illnesses are, 80% of the illnesses are psychosomatic, which means they are linked to our mind. So quite often while we may or may not be aware of it, most of our difficult sensations in the body are related to something that the mind is creating. So the second aspect about the emotion is the sensation. So the sensation is physical, the sensation is tangible, the sensation can be felt. Okay. And the third part of the emotional uh, um, event, so to speak, is a thought. So when you have the sensation, then the thought comes, oh, I'm feeling anxious, or I'm feeling, and often actually people's emotional vocabulary is also so low and poor. If you ask them how they're feeling, most people will probably say, I'm feeling good, I'm feeling bad. I'm feeling happy, feeling sad. There's so many words related to the emotional vocabulary: helpless, nervousness, anxiety, upset, disappointed. So many words which also are of different intensities. So then the thought comes. Now thought means words come, associate. Now there's anxiety, there's fear, there is, you're giving a label, you're giving a word to the sensation. The sensation itself is not, has no word to it. The mind is interpreting the sensation by giving a label to it. Okay, this is fear, this is anger, this is, not that it's not useful, but I'm just making you aware. I'm breaking down this whole emotional event into three parts: the trigger, the sensation, and the thoughts associated with it. And then not only just the mind give labels to the sensation or the feeling, the mind also creates a story around it, which means, oh, so one is fear, and then the story could start with, I am feeling fear. Now that's an interpretation of the mind, because till the time the sensation is happening, it's just an empirical event that the body is experiencing. Now, I don't know how many of you understand this last sentence that I just said, which means it's like something is happening in the existence, in your existence, in this. It's not your even, it's just in existence. A sensation is coming, this body is experiencing a sensation. There is no such thing as this sensation is fear, anger, nothing. Those are words supplied by the mind. There's no such thing as I am feeling angry, fear. That's again an interpretation of the mind. Then the mind can go further in its interpretation, and the mind will say, oh, I have to work with my anger issue. I just can't seem to have a handle on my anger. And then the mind may interpret further, oh, I am so unconfident, I am so fearful. And then the mind will create it, so, oh, I'm not good enough. And some story that the mind will create around a particular uh, emotion. And sometimes those stories are very unconscious, maybe you may not even be aware of it. But so trigger, sensation, thoughts. Thoughts are all the interpretations, the judgments, and all of that. Now, if we were to look at this event from the eyes of awareness. Now, I'm using a word which may be understood or may not be understood, but I'll try to explain what I'm saying when I say the eyes of awareness. Which is what we had actually did in the sitting practice. Just observe the sensation of the body. Just witness. Just see with neutral eyes. Don't bring any interpretation or evaluation and all of that. So the best way to process an emotion is to see the emotion with the eyes of awareness, which essentially means to just witness the sensation. As far as possible, it may not be possible all the time. As far as possible, the more you grow in awareness, the more you cultivate your awareness muscle, you will be able to just witness the sensation that is happening, the energy of the body. That whatever, oh, palpitation, yes. I'm using word palpitation because now I'm talking to you, but otherwise the palpitation doesn't need to be even say it's a palpitation. You can feel the energy in the body. You can feel whatever the energy is. Heaviness in the head doesn't need to be said it's a heaviness in the head. You can experience it. That's it. You don't need to even call any of that. The best way is to just experience the sensation as is. Don't try to escape it by distracting your mind into something else, because that's not like a long term solution. The more you distract yourself into something else temporarily, again that sensation will be there and it will make you feel more worse once you come back, because you can't constantly be in a state of escape mode. Sometime or the other those sensations will catch up. Or um, so the point I'm trying to make is just witness the sensation as is. Which doesn't mean that you can't do something, which means like, okay, somebody may want likes to go for a run, somebody may like to listen to some music, somebody may like to do some creative thing, painting or something, somebody may like to just have a warm cup of tea. So do whatever that makes you what your body seems to be saying in the moment, or it not even be anything specific, just continue doing whatever you're doing, but keep your attention on the sensation. That sensation is like something in your psyche is getting triggered and something unconscious is getting uncovered, and it's throwing up some energy, and what you need to do is shine the torch of awareness on that sensation. Because it is like it is seeking your awareness. The sensation is seeking your awareness, and when you are able to shine the torch of awareness on the sensation, then maybe the sensation will be there for some time. It will go, maybe just for an hour, maybe for a day, maybe for 2 days, maybe for a week. I really don't know what's the intensity and how long. But if we have the ability to just watch the sensation without adding any words, interpretation, thoughts, judgments, which of course is difficult, then the sensation will come, and then the sensation will get released after some time. And then you continue whatever you need to do. Supposing the feeling is very intense, then you can even lie down and just watch the sensation and watch the body. That's it. So, literally speaking, the real thing that you need to do to deal with the emotion is the most effective thing is to do nothing. Because when you're just witnessing, you're just observing, when you're just aware, then you're really not doing anything as such. You're just focusing your attention on it. You're not really doing anything physically to get rid of the emotion. You're not doing anything to enhance the emotion. You're not doing anything, nothing. You're just witnessing it. It's like shining the sun of awareness on whatever is there. And that is the most effective way to deal with an emotion. Now, supposing uh, I mean, of course, the thought is definitely going to come. The mind is definitely going to come. The mind will definitely perform its stories, and it will say, oh, I'm good for nothing. Oh, I'm not loved. Oh, I'm not wanted. Oh, this person is taking me for granted. Some story the mind is going to create. So then watch the story too. Watch the story, but it requires some amount of awareness to watch the story of the mind and not get identified with the story of the mind. So when I say get identified, we start believing the story of the mind when the mind says, "Oh, I'm not loved. Oh, there is no hope for the future. Oh, I'm I am a good for nothing. Oh, people don't value me. Oh, um, um, something. I mean, you all know what different kind of stories that the mind tends to make. Maybe you can share what is, and each mind has its own particular favorite story. Like some mind's favorite story is, I'm not loved. Some mind's favorite story is, oh, I'm not good enough. Some mind's favorite story is, um, I need to be perfect, something or the other. So watch this story that the mind is creating. And sometimes what can help us to watch the story that the mind is creating is journaling. Write down your thoughts, or write down, I think a better way to say it is, write down the thoughts that the mind is creating. So once you write it down, once the thoughts get objectified on paper, and you don't need to sort of, there's something called cathartic writing. Just write down whatever the thoughts are, without really editing, nothing. So you're actually just vomiting your thoughts on paper. That's something called stream of consciousness writing, that you're just bringing out your thoughts so that you can see your thoughts. Okay, these are the thoughts. And you see your thoughts, you see the sensations, and then you really don't need to do anything. And if so, what I'm really trying to say is, don't try to get rid of the difficult emotion. If at all, just watch it without the intent of holding on to it, without the intent of wanting to get rid of it, but just sort of looking at it with very neutral eyes. And in some ways, one could also, if um, the feelings are intense, then one could also cultivate a feeling of just an attitude. I think that's a better word. An attitude of letting go, an attitude of surrender. Not even letting go, I would say an attitude of surrender. That means, surrender means that the mind is not trying to do anything with the emotion or the sensation. It's just simply watching with that attitude of surrender. Like, fine, I'm feeling these sensations. I'm just watching it, and I'm in a state of surrender. I'm experiencing these thoughts and the stories that are coming. I'm just watching them. I'm in an attitude of surrender, not trying to resist them, and not neither trying to indulge them. Hmm? Don't try to create more thoughts. So whatever thoughts are there, just watch them. Don't whatever sensations are there, you just watch them. And if you are able to just witness and watch the sensations, then whatever the unconscious has thrown up because of something gets triggered. And quite often, really speaking, when we are in the midst of the emotional event, we feel that something is causing that event, and our story is very, very real. But more often than not, the reason for our emotion is something within us that is getting triggered. The point I'm trying to make is that most emotions have a seed inside us. Because if I were to give you a very simple example, if there are 10 people in a room, something happens in a room. Some event like, somebody's, let's say, slap somebody in the room, and there are 10 people who are watching this event. Each of these 10 people will interpret the same event in 10 different ways, and each of these 10 people will experience 10 different things. There may be similarities, but each one is interpreting every single event in 10 different ways and experiencing 10 different things. So obviously, the emotion that I'm feeling is subjective to me. If someone else was in that same situation, that person would feel something else. Maybe that person would not even feel anything. So the seed of the trigger for whatever I'm feeling, whether I'm feeling lonely, I'm feeling isolated, I'm feeling like a failure, I'm feeling like whatever, is within me. The external situations or events are simply triggering what is already something deeply embedded in me as a very unconscious belief, as a very unconscious energy, and that's getting triggered. So the more I'm able to just see it as it is, without adding more interpretation, without adding more drama to it, then it will come and if some insight has to happen, hmm, like um, if I were to give an example, like of somebody, so this person was undergoing uh, a depression for some a certain period of time. And he was wondering why is he feeling depressed, and then he realized that he is not. I'm changing the examples now. Something uh, that he used to get a high by doing some trading. Mhm. And then because of doing some trading, that person experienced a huge loss or whatever, and then he stopped doing that trading. And then there was a sense of depression, a sense of feeling low for a long time. And then, okay, do I need to go to a psychiatrist? Do I need to see a counselor? All those things started happening. And then one fine day, this person realized, oh, I have this, my mind is habituated or this addictive pattern towards trading. And that was giving me a high. And now that I'm no longer doing that activity, now that's making me feel low. So once that insight came into awareness, suddenly the depression disappeared and everything became normal. Now, that insight did not come out of a process of analyzing, thinking, reflection, all of that. It just came. I mean, so the point I'm trying to say is that one is just watching. If some insight has to emerge, the insight will also emerge naturally. So once that insight emerges, and sometimes I'm not even saying that there always has to be some insight emerging. Sometimes there is really no uh, insight. All you need to do is just watch, and some energy shift happens. Mhm. You just watch. Whatever the energy shift has to happen. The energy shift could be from being a very controlling person. You realize, I need to learn, I need to just let go. Now, that could also be an insight, but basically just so even the insight does not always need to be articulated in words. It's just a shift in energy. But the core aspect is to witness, to be aware. And then whatever shift in energy has to happen will happen when it has to happen. Whatever insight has to emerge will emerge when it has to happen. But one needs to just watch with the eyes of neutrality, with this, with an attitude, if I may add, an attitude of surrender. That is the best thing, because then that makes it easier. The more I resist, the more I want to do something with it, then that's a problem. And quite often the problem is really not in the emotion, because an emotion at the end of it, at the core of it, is just a sensation. That's all there is to it. But it is, we feel that with our interpretation and our belief and our identity around that, that we create around that emotion and sensation, that's what creates all the problem. Otherwise, sensation comes, sensation goes. Some sensations go faster, some sensations take a little more time. So that's it. So, and then I guess if you're a beginner, then some things, tools, and techniques that I can sort of suggest that can help you to maintain emotional hygiene, which means you don't, quite often, there are so many emotional triggers that happen to us and so many sensations. And we're not even aware because we are so busy in our day to day life. And then suddenly all those sensations and emotions go and sit in some part of our body, some part of our psyche, and they accumulate over a period of time, and then they manifest as some illness, some disease, or all of that happens. So it's good to sort of clean your system of all these emotional debris as often as you can. One of the ways I really recommend, I don't do that as much now, but I used to religiously do that for at least 5 6 years, is journaling. Maybe at the end of the day, you can just journal whatever happened, whatever your feelings are, whatever your thoughts are, what happened during the day. You can do the journaling in the form of a letter. You can write like, I used to, you can write a letter, dear God. It's just a form now, whether if you believe in God or whatever, or I was a big devotee of Lord Krishna. Not that I'm not now, but uh, uh, now the relationship with God is more of oneness rather than of duality. But I used to write dear Krishna, and then I used to write my journaling, my thoughts. So you can write your thoughts, or you need not even address it as a letter. You just write down your feelings, your thoughts. So you, at the end of the day, you become aware of what you're feeling, what your thoughts are. So you pour it out and uh, get it out of your system, and then you can go to bed feeling okay. I've, because of course it's good to have a counselor, but a counselor is someone you would probably approach when really there's a need for it. And the counselor also you'll probably meet only once a week, once a fortnight, and also it's expensive having a counselor. So your journal can become your counselor, but I think at some point of time, one needs to then move away from I am feeling this and that language, because then even the journaling, when you write your thoughts, is also creating an identity of a certain kind of, oh, this happened to me. This is what I'm feeling. This is what I. So the I keeps coming in every thought that you write. So, really speaking, at some point of time, uh, I think it's an interim tool that you can use, but the best tool is silent witnessing, just watching, just silent witnessing. So, and the more you practice witnessing, then you can use that tool for your managing your emotions, of positive thinking. It's not something that which I resonate with so much. It's not something that I've explored so much. I just feel whatever the thoughts are, one can just witness it rather than trying to constantly. It may work in the short term. You forcefully you try to sort of cultivate some uh, thoughts, positive thoughts, affirmations. Yeah, so one can also do affirmations. But I think anything that we use the mind force the mind to something. But of course, you can, in the interim, you can use other ways. You can use counseling, you can use journaling, you can use affirmations, whatever. But the best way is to watch the mind through silent awareness. And Um, if I were to also give you an affirmation, let's say if I were to give you an affirmation, which I'm just thinking right now, one of the best way affirmation is a very simple affirmation is um, like you can say this is happening now. You that this can be whatever is happening. uh, Palpitation is happening, hollowness in the stomach is happening, whatever you are experiencing, whatever the sensation, and this is being watched in silent awareness. Then if you want to add further, you can say this that is happening is temporary and passing. The silent awareness that is watching this sensation that is happening is always present. And you can use this affirmation to sort of help you to come into that awareness. So you're acknowledging what is happening and you're acknowledging that it is being watched. Second, what you're doing is you're acknowledging what is happening is temporary and passing, but that which is witnessing what is happening is always present. So this is a simple, good affirmation to practice silent awareness. So, yeah, a very spontaneous session on managing emotions, dealing with difficult emotions. I didn't plan to talk about this happen, but well and good. Fine, we'll talk about whatever I had thought of next time. Maybe what I thought of next time will convert into something else. But I like these spontaneous, unprepared conversations and sessions. So do share your feedback in the comments and write about your thoughts around managing or dealing with difficult emotions. What are your functional ways of dealing, what are your dysfunctional ways, and yeah, anything else you want to, feel free to share and add. So let's end this session with a small prayer. So if you wish, you can close your eyes and join your palms. Namaste. Take a deep breath in and exhale. My dear higher self, help me to realize I am not what I feel. I am not the temporariness of a passing emotion. I am not the temporariness of a passing sensation. I am not the story and interpretation created by the emotion. I am the silent witness that watches both the sensation of the emotion and the story created by the emotion. Help me in my practice of self-awareness. I seek your guidance and grace to realize my true self. Om Shanti Shanti. So with that, we end today's session, and I'll see you in the next session. Goodbye. God bless and take care.